gentlemen, boys and girls, RFK Refugees Podcast. It's Ed here, John here, back for another Saturday edition. Sorry, we're running a few minutes late, working through the technical issues, but we're back, talking DC United, Washington Spirit, U.S. men's, women's national team occasionally, when we feel like it. John, how are you doing, man? How was your weekend? You went up to the game.
I did. I was in the house. I was at the Screaming Eagles tailgate, making a lot of new friends, and watching a pretty awesome game of soccer, at least for most of it.
Yeah, fun game of soccer. A lot of good things to talk about. We're going to get into the DC United game. I unfortunately had to cram the game in between getting off work, walking the dog, and then coming and doing the show. So I crammed it all in there. Managed to actually watch the game. So I'm fresh. I got fresh eyes, or more remembered eyes, maybe on the game. So so it's going to be fresher in my head maybe than John. So maybe I'll need to take the lead. I don't know how many tailgate beers John had. That might influence his...
I had quite a few. I had quite a few of them. So,
but let's start out. We're not going to start with DC. We're going to start with probably DC's playoff run and what they've done this year. I have some qualms with the national media. I'll get into that in a minute about how they've been treating DC United as of late. I'm talking to you, Andrew Wiebe. We'll get to you. I'm calling you out. I'm going to put this in the show notes. I'm going to tweet at you. Let's go. But let's talk Washington Spirit, because that's fun. They got a 2-1 victory over FC Kansas City. A hard fought game in a lot of ways. But I guess that the more important thing is what's happening off the field. Should we talk game or should we talk off the field first, John?
The game is not as important, but we can get through that quickly. I think that's crazy lineup. Kelly O'Hara playing a forward for the first time in quite some time. Tara McKeown scores her first league goal, first professional goal, and she scores it 15 seconds after the second half started. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time that the Spirit have won at Segra Field ever. And it is also the last time they play there this season. So maybe that's the last time they'll ever win at Segra, because it's the last time they'll ever play there. That's a hope. That's a fingers crossed situation. But that's the crazy part. I think Anna Helferty got to play at the same time as the defensive sort of U.S. allocated players. That was always the question of how you get her on the field. Didn't have a wonderful game, but I like that she got up in the midfield.
I mean, it seems like this was a game where you have one team. This is why some teams are bad. We've experienced this at DC, where you watch DC dominate a game. They generate all the chances. You think, oh man, this is the time they're going to do it. And they just kind of let it slip away. The FC Kansas City, I don't care about any type of curse or anything like that. Spirit needed to win this game. If they wanted to, if they lose this game, I would say that would do it, at least in my mind, for them having any chance of sneaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's important to remember that they took 2 3-0 losses.
Yep.
In the last 28 days, so that hurts them in a league as tight as this one. That's hefty. Goal differential alone, like there aren't a lot of 3-0 defeats naturally occurring in NWSL. So the fact that they got 2 of them because they couldn't take the field because of COVID violations, that is notable. And the fact, you want them to beat KC, they are bad, right? And they're getting better. Clearly, I think that they have actually improved throughout the season. And trading for French was a good move by them. Mm-hmm. But you would have hoped to see them win even without playing for 3 weeks, and they were able to do that. Wasn't perfect, but players that I feel like Ashley Hatch wasn't available. She had an excused absence. I feel like Chris Ward put players in the positions that he wanted to, sort of took it away from where the team had conventionally played these players and said, I'm taking advantage of my time here. I'm going to put these players where I want to put them. And it worked out. Andy Sullivan scored a penalty. Very well struck. She's on a goal-scoring binge now with her U.S. women's national team duty coming to a close, scoring 2 there, and now getting a 3rd here for the penalty spot. But Tara McKeown's goal, if you haven't had a chance to check that out, very well taken. A very slow roller from very far out, but she was she put it exactly where she needed to, and she put the defense on skates a couple times. So Trinity Rodman, there were a lot of subs starting the second half that was planned ahead of time because they have a lot of games coming up. And these players have not had a lot of minutes on their legs the last 3 weeks. So it was about trying to make sure that, you rest Rodman, you rest some of those players in the second half. But points, we're on to the next one.
And just to give you guys some insight into the tie-breaking rules in NWSL, it's head-to-head win-loss record between teams tied on points. So right now, despite being tied on points, they are currently tied with the Houston Dash, and they have the advantage due to the fact that I think they beat them at their home game, and then they picked up a draw. So they currently have the upper hand over the Houston Dash.
The famous RFK Refugees live Twitch broadcast game.
Yes, and the other teams they face are the other teams that are kind of locked in right now are the Orlando Pride. And just taking a quick look at like where they stand, obviously I think no, they don't play them. They actually have the upper hand on Orlando. So despite taking 2-3-0 losses, both the Portland Thorns and the OL Reign are well ahead of them in the standings. In fact, I think that 3-0 win helped kind of secure things for them at the top of the table, looking at how the standings look. Washington Spirit still also have a game in hand on Chicago Red Stars and Orlando Pride, who they're currently chasing. So it's certainly not over yet. This team can certainly come together, and I think they've shown resiliency and ability to sort of overcome the noise that's kind of happening outside of them. Speaking of the noise. Let's talk about what's happened. This has been a saga that has developed. First, let's talk about, I guess, the news. I believe it was the backup goalkeeper for the Washington Spirit was suspended for a game, and I'm trying to remember her name, and I feel really bad. Yep.
So the reason why this is notable is she was suspended for violating a team medical directive. That report did not come out. And by the way, as ever, let's listen to Plex Weather, the Washington Spirit specific podcast from Black and Red United. They discussed this last week. But she had taken the vaccine. She had never tested positive. She was told by the team, a lot of this is sort of secondhand. She was told by the team, you can't travel, and then was also told by a team official, you can travel. So she traveled, and that's what got them in trouble. So she got a little miscommunication on the team level. Wait, just fits. I mean, that's what we've heard. But if that's the truth, that just sort of fits with everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
With the organization in the last whole year.
Yeah, it's and it feels. I think Devin Kerr was getting some abuse leveled at her on Twitter over this,
which Evan, do not.
Nope. And I've seen a lot of. I've been reading a lot of posts, and we'll get to who should be taking over this team in a minute here. But I've been reading a lot of posts from, I've been perusing the NWSL Facebook boards, and I'm seeing numerous people sort of tweet out, oh, they should just, collapse the team and find a new owner and build it up again. And I'm like, no. Number one, you don't know that there's going to be an owner. One was like, oh, give it to Austin. Austin wants a team, give it to them, or give it to some other city. I'm like, no. That's not the right move here. The right move is for the rest of the ownership to take some leadership, to step in, come to Steve Baldwin and say, we have to figure out a way to end this. We'll see what the investigation yields.
This week, supposedly.
I am cautiously optimistic. It very much feels like, because Michelle King actually has been very, very quiet throughout this whole thing. But you have been seeing behind the scenes, Steve Baldwin's people handpicked staff has been filing complaints against her, trying to sort of paint her in a bad light, and she's been very quiet about the whole thing. And then she finally speaks up. She finally comes out. I think it was yesterday. Says, or I think actually today. It was today. Yeah, it was this morning. Sorry, y'all, folks. Work's been bad for me. But she kind of steps up and said, really outlines that, she had a deal. She confirms, at least to herself, that there was a deal for her to take over ownership. Steve Baldwin backed out, and really sets the stage of. I think it's almost a call to NWSL. Help me fix this. I'm ready to take ownership. You look at all this bad press you're getting. This can be fixed very easily. And I'm hopeful this is going to near a resolution very, very soon. We can only hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing she said she wants to do, build a safe and transparent workplace, and culture based on diversity, equity, and inclusion, including implementing hiring practices that are open and merit based. That's a shot across the bow at Richie Burke and some other folks that were hired along with them. Invest in building a world-class training environment, including Washington Spirit dedicated practice facilities with all necessary tools, technology, and additional staff to be successful and compete for championships every year. I wonder if that's something about Loudon. I wonder if that's, and we'll talk about the Loudon facility being opened here shortly. I wonder if that's something about that. Provide the best living and development environment for the players to realize their full potential on and off the field, including individual and team health and well-being coaches and resources. Establish highly functioning and scalable business operations that give each individual staff member a voice and empower them to make decisions and grow in their jobs, and develop strong strategic relationships with our fans and supporter groups, the DC community, and DC United and NWSL teams, blah, blah, blah. Notable in the supporter group, I don't know if we just already mentioned this, but the Spirit Squadron had a statement that they came out last week and said basically, sell the team, Steve. Until you sell this team, we're not going to do the things that we normally do. We're not going to play drums. We're not going to wave flags. We're not going to have any sort of vocal presence at the games. We're going to go because we have tickets, and we're just going to watch the game until things change. And I wasn't there. If I know that we have some folks here in the chat who were at the game, who could maybe give us a call in and talk about the atmosphere and what it was like there in Segra. But on TV, it was pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, and I think, I think it's good that the Spirit Squadron stepped up. I think one notable thing, and part of my reasoning in maybe thinking that we're heading towards a potential conclusion is who was at the game and who was not at the game. Michelle Kane was at the game. It was reported she was there supporting the team, and Steve Baldwin and I believe Larry Best, I think his name is. Mm-hmm. The guy who was mentioned in the article as making derogatory comments towards female players, and very, very. I won't repeat what he has been saying. What he said here. You can go read Molly's article in the Washington Post if you want to check all the information about that. But basically said some really derogatory things towards the players. It is like I have to feel that there is a bottom here. And I'm hoping we've finally maybe reached it, and maybe now we're going to start to see some things turn around. I'm not sure what the solution's going to be here.
I think it's going to have to be the league. Yeah. I'm going to put myself in Steve Baldwin's head, and I feel like once you get in this position, once you've been accused of the things you've been accused of credibly, once you sell, it's like a no contest plea. You're basically saying, like, I'm not saying I'm guilty, but clearly I'm kind of guilty. I'm not going to stay and fight this. I'm gonna leave, and I'm going to give my role, so sell my spot. So you understand why, if he really does think that this is all sort of an unfair paint, and he wants to stay in the community and wants to do other things, like, he's going to fight that. The problem for him is that no one's going to forget this, mm-hmm. and if the league moves on it and makes him sell a team, that's just as bad or maybe worse, because now there's a third party basically confirming, yeah, man, all the things everyone said about you are in fact true, and you are not fit to be an owner in this league, and we are making you sell your shares. So it's going to have to be the league. I really don't think he's going to do this of his own volition, and this is probably Michelle's card to play here. I think this was the trump card. I don't know what else she's going to do that's going to change things. Obviously, the report is going to come out soon, maybe this week. Mm-hmm. That will be the other part of it. If that doesn't trigger a change in that way, I don't think there's going to be a change. I think it's going to be a bad time here for a while until either the asset depreciates enough that Steve doesn't want it anymore, or something else happens. I just don't see it otherwise.
I can't. My biggest fear in all of this is that Steve digs his heels in. Mm-hmm. The league either doesn't have the will or the ability to force a change here, and inevitably Michelle just says, "You know what? I'm done. I'm out.
Right.
Bye.
That was my time.
Yeah. This is. I try my best. I'm here, and I think the NWSL would be very foolish if they do not strongly try to get a situation in here. I think this is a time when ownerships, Merritt Paulson's, the big time owners need to step in and really they really, it comes down to them. Lisa Barrett's the commissioner, but really a lot of this is driven by the owners out there. And you already have an owner who lost a lot of revenue. If I'm Merritt Paulson, I am banging the drum to get Steve out. Figure out a way. Let's do it. If we have to pay him, we have to pay him. Whatever we have to do to get him to get rid of this asset. We have somebody who's a willing buyer, someone who has connected herself with the players, who's made a lot of efforts to do that, who was actually one of the few people the players seemed to feel comfortable talking with about what was going on.
Which makes sense.
She has shown to be a much more capable owner than Steve Baldwin. Make the move. It's on NWSL to show that they can be a grown-up organization and come up with a way to end this.
And if they don't do that, she should just say, I'm going to start a team in Florida where I live. Because obviously now she's got a big passion for this. And if the league won't make Steve sell the shares, or Steve will not finally sort of go back and agree to what he agreed to before, clearly she has a passion for it, and she should start a team down in Florida. I think she's clearly another one to maybe like sort of have maybe NWSL is not big enough to have a second team down there yet, but she's clearly full 100% in for a person who's late into the game.
You got the USL. You got the USL starting a super league, a second division, almost a full second division league. I thought the W League was supposed to be the second division, but apparently USL is throwing their hat. That's going to be the third division, which DC United's going to have a team.
Open Cup time.
Yep, Open Cup.
We dig it. We love it.
Yeah, I won a women's Open Cup. That's something that needs to happen. My idea was actually, why not just make the Challenge Cup? Like, just turn that into into a women's Open Cup. I think that would be kind of cool.
Here's a question, something we should do. When Open Cup starts again, why don't we do like a live wraparound show for Open Cup?
Yeah, why not? Do it on Twitch.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be anybody else doing this. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah,
chat. Let us know if that's something that interests you. We will definitely do it.
Speaking of major tournaments, I guess anything else we want to close on the Spirit?
No, I'm excited to talk about this tournament you're about to bring up.
Oh yeah, I'm about to bring it up, man. Let's do it. Let's talk Leagues Cup. The big news, and I almost forgot about this, I guess, with the DC game. I also had a wedding, guys. It was an incredibly fun wedding. Congratulations to my friends on their wedding. I had to be a part of it, so I was not able to watch the game until today. So, but it was a lot of fun. But let's talk Leagues Cup. This dropped last week. So we all had the news. Basically, CONCACAF. I found this very interesting because I believe they had already kind of put out. So the timing of this was, I think, a few months ago. CONCACAF had put out and said, "Oh, we're changing up the Leagues Cup." And they were sort of putting out details, and I think this was an attempt maybe to get in front of MLS and Liga MX, kind of like announcing a major Leagues Cup, or they were trying to, we need to try something here to keep them invested. Because that was supposed to have a group stage. It was supposed to have regional matches where it was supposed to be like, US, Canada, Mexico were going to be in a region, play matches. And then they that kind of died down a little bit. And then we got this announcement early last week saying CONCACAF's ready to make an announcement. And it was supposed to be and everyone was saying, oh, it's going to be the expanded CONCACAF Champions League. And I'm like, but they already announced that. So like, what is this going to be? I think that CONCACAF knew what was going to be the main story here was not going to be the expanded Champions League. And they said, okay, we'll sanction this, but let us have the announcement. And then you guys can do what you want. Because basically, they announced the Champions League. They said, oh, we're having this new format. They went through the Caribbean, Central America. Oh, we're doing this CONCACAF League. Oh, for North America, the Leagues Cup will now serve as a bid. And it'll be all MLS and Liga MX teams.
3 spots, I thought. Is it
three
spots,
Champions League spots?
That's so
3
cool. Champions
Champions League spots.
That's how we're gonna get in.
The winner gets a automatic berth to the round of 16. The 2 others have to play in the round of 24. But first thought, I think there were kind of some reactions. I think most people on the business side who looked at the business side of this, who looked at the opportunities that this could bring, were like, this is going to be fun. The league, I guess I immediately got on board when the league was like, oh, we're taking a month break. And I'm like, yep. Fantastic.
Yep. Because
the biggest problem I've had with the Leagues Cup is like it's shoehorned in the middle of the weekly schedule. So it almost made no sense to try to, for a coach like Peter Vermees had to travel. I think he had basically a game on Saturday away. Then he had another game, the following Saturday away. And he's like, I'm going to run my players into the ground. And he got smoked in that game. And it was not good. And so I like the fact that they are taking a month break. I think this is going to allow for their strongest opponent. A lot of the arguments are brought up, it's still played in, USA, Canada, how much of a sporting competition it is. Let me tell you that probably most stadiums, Liga MX fans will probably outnumber or at least be 50-50 with MLS fans. So I don't think that's really a problem. I've talked enough, John. Give me some of your thoughts about this.
Here's my simple thought about it. The MLS season is too long for all but the most hardcore people that will watch it anyway, no matter what. What can you do to get non-MLS fans interested in MLS? Well, friends, what you can do is take the thing they like the most, which is the World Cup and a knockout tournament, and then do it with the teams that you care about. Stopping it for a month was essential. I think that is key to the integrity of the tournament, to the quality of the product. I love it. I love it so much. I love that there's 3 Champions League spots that come out of it. I think that is a great opportunity. DC United's best opportunity to get back into the league that I love, the Champions League that I love. And I think that it's going to make for great television. Knockout stuff, it's going to be great. It's going to give MLS fans a better, most teams aren't in Champions League. So a lot of like fans that aren't just fans of the league are not watching the perpetual every single year MLS teams get drummed out of the quarters and semifinals. So they're not really getting exposure to Liga MX unless they watch it. So this is a good way to make every market in MLS also pay a little bit of attention to Liga MX and vice versa. I think we love it mucho. The official position of this show is that we love Leagues Cup.
I think here's one thing I will say. In my opinion, I think one thing I would be very interested to see change. You talk about how people, we don't watch Liga MX all the time. It's a fantastically fun league. Yeah. Imagine MLS style games, but just a little bit clearly higher quality is the way I'll describe it. Even though apparently the
deeper rosters, more money spent, et cetera, et
cetera. Same fast erratic type of play. Like you'll watch a lot of games that you'll say, this kind of reminds me of MLS, except I'm watching players who clearly get paid a lot more. And I can see that on the field and the quality. But one thing I think that Liga MX needs to look at, and one thing I've been always very frustrated about, because I've wanted to get into Liga MX. I've tried watching it. My wife's Mexican. My father-in-law is a big Club America fan. She's also a big Club America fan. So I'm looking forward to that. If DC gets drawn in a group with Club America, that's going to be tons of fun for me. Or Pain, one of the two. But one thing I think that Soccer United marketing, I think that MLS needs to look at, how can we get an actual bona fide English broadcast for every single game? Can we get these on ESPN Plus? Can we get these on Paramount Plus somewhere? Can we figure out a way to buy up those English language rights? Can we get these Liga MX teams to say, hey, bundle those all together, give them to us? You could still do, because this is the biggest problem with Liga MX is their contracts. It's sort of very much like La Liga, in that teams sort of negotiate their own contracts. So Chivas has a deal with NBC. You have Club America has deals with Univision. I think Tigres, Monterrey, they all are Univision, and then some are on Fox and Fox Deportes. So there's a very staggered amount of coverage. There's not a unified place you can go to watch coverage, and English language is almost non-existent. I on my TV I have the English language SAP, and I remember I actually sat down for a game and they actually had the SAP coverage. I was like, oh my goodness, it's a game. I can actually know who these players are. I can learn a bit about them. And so I think that's something Liga MX needs to look at, because there are a lot of that's a growth opportunity. You looked at the MLS All-Star game, the Spanish level ratings were fantastic. I mean, it was a 1.5 million, viewers for that game. I mean, everybody, who spoke Spanish tuned into that game. Not many people tuned in who spoke English, because there's still very much amongst, English speakers, a very Eurocentric feel. If that had been Real Madrid, if that had been Liverpool or Man United, you would have probably had a better English viewership. And I think that Liga MX needs to look at is say, wow, we have so many people here who watch soccer, who want to follow our league. Maybe we need to give them an English level outfit. You already have two great ESPN commentators, Hercules Gomez, who played in the league, and Sebi Salazar, who watches the league and cares about the league. ESPN seems like a great platform. Put those games on ESPN Plus. Introduce your game to more people. Because I think that's where I'm seeing this as great, but I think it could be better if you could make MLS fans care about it more if they learned more about Liga MX sides.
Yep. And before we pivot to DC United, I want to thank all the people who have subscribed to us on Twitch. And thanks to Gregory Koch for continuing to rain subs on everybody. If you'd like to support the show on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime subscription, which renews. You have to renew every month because they like to make it hard. Just go to subscribe and make sure you click the box that says Amazon Prime subscription. Otherwise, you could just also support us any other way you want. Anyway.
Yeah. And sorry, Dazed Porpoise 97 says it'd be nice to see. That's Angus. Okay. It'd be nice to see if roster ceilings raised to that of Liga MX rosters. I think that's going to have to happen. I think it is high time. I think before this tournament, there's going to have to be some significant investment, some significant raising of that salary cap. It's great that teams are going to get to play their first team squads. But we watched even one of the best teams probably in the league right now, Seattle, looked really good for about 70, 80 minutes, and then I think it was Leon brought on some subs and torched them for 3 goals, and that was all she wrote as far as that goes. I think they did score a second goal to kind of make it interesting towards the end, but I think that's something that has to happen because I think right now everybody seems to frame it as if like, oh, Liga MX teams blow out MLS teams. It's becoming a situation where they're losing close. It's losing closely. They have narrowed that gap. I think they have done a lot to get some better talent in there, but the gap is still there, and you really need a lot of things to break your way if you want to beat Mexican sides. It's no longer a given that a Liga MX side can walk in and beat an MLS side, but it's still very much Liga MX has the advantage. So hopefully we see some of those roster ceilings, some of those salary caps get lifted or raised. We'll see what happens. It's good. That's going to be the fascinating thing to watch over the next couple of years. Yeah, Angus's only team to do it was DCU. Let me be clear. I celebrate DC United's victory, but let's be clear. Liga MX was not the same league it is now. It has had tremendous amounts of investment that have come in over the recent years. And the amount of TV rights and TV deals is very recent. I mean, they certainly were popular. Don't get me wrong, but it's really been over, I'd say, the last about 10 years that the MX has really, really grown in popularity and availability in TV rights. And they've used it to invest in their sides. Yep. So there, John?
I'm here. Yep. DC United. Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's jump right into DC. Let's talk DC United going up, winning 4-2. Against FC Cincinnati. It was
I said Lucho would score. He did. That's all.
He did.
At least there's that. I did get that right.
I was feeling a Kamara hat trick, and I saw the amount I could win on it, so I threw $5 on that just to see.
Nice.
It's a bad team. It didn't work out for me.
No. Well, it is a pretty rare task that has recently happened. So
let me tell you about the confidence I have in this team. I'm always nervous anytime a game starts, no matter how good my team's playing. It's 0-0. So, man, it's like a new game. Anything can happen. Once I got the notification on my phone that Pauliola had scored, I was like, okay, this is over. Pack it up. Game over. I knew I didn't have to worry. The worry was gone from my face. That when you have a team that's down, that's playing badly, and you're able to just get that goal first, that's a backbreaker. We've watched it to many DC teams when we've been bad, and then we give up an early goal, and that's it. We see it every day on the notifications for Loud United games. When they give up a goal inside 5-10 minutes, we know it's over. Man, they are just. By the way, they're having it just gets bad and
rough
worse
existence.
For them. Rough existence. They are looking. I have a feeling. They are looking forward to maybe going to the MLS, maybe the MLS league. But let's first talk about, I guess, the goal. I believe FC Cincinnati started a little bright, I'd say, for about the first couple minutes. They didn't generate many chances, but I thought they had a little bit more looks. And I think DC maybe was trying to like wake up a little bit. Obviously, I think there was a nice ball played in, and then Donovan Pines got a shot off. We'll talk about him in a minute. Makes a nice save, and then we get a corner kick, a short corner kick, design set plays to Edison Flores, who does a really nice job laying a ball off for Julian Gressel, and Julian Gressel powers it over, and Ariel is there to finish.
The first of 3 for Gressel.
First of 3 for Gressel. He was lighting it up. He was
that man. Adam Taylor says that is officially a Gresselmania. 3 assists is that's a for sure. That's what that is.
I wonder what the plus. I wonder if there was a bet I could make on it.
3 assists. I don't think they get into that.
Be cool if they did.
They agree.
Actually, I don't know if. So I know on FootMob, I think Flores got credited with the assist.
I think it was a secondary hockey style.
Yeah, because it goes off his head. It was a little bit fortunate for an assist. I think it just kind of pops out. But anyway, very nicely worked set piece goal. DC, I think it leads the league in set piece goals. And Gressel is a large part of that. He has his second half of the season. He is really starting to find his own. Just his service, I mean, has just been incredible.
I think he's up to 11 assists for the year. Let me see real quick.
Is he an assist leader? Is he an assist leader right now? I'd be curious to see where he
got to be.
I think Carlos Gil is like the only player that maybe has more assists than him. But yeah, he's absolutely lighting it up. He's also third in key passes. Carlos Gil with the only one at and Reynoso. So he's in good company there. You got Rusnak, Reynoso, and Gil as far as key passes go. And certainly I think if he is second on assists. He is tied with Milanovic from Montreal as far as assists go.
Tell you what though, the man is now living up to his transfer fee.
Yep.
That was the big thing last year, was like, man, he did not do it at all. And he said it himself when he was on the show. Like, he was like, I was not happy with the way things went. It was a horrible season in front of nobody. So yeah, it sucked. But now this is what you paid for. He is now really doing it. And it's awesome to see.
It is really, really incredible to see. Every ball he puts in is dangerous. Everyone has an opportunity or a chance to go into the back of the net, and that's really incredible to see. I did want to highlight, and I guess I'll get into a little bit more maybe when we talk the second half. I did want to highlight. I decided I was going to sit down and watch the game. I knew we were going to talk about Gressel and his assists. We're talking about Ariel and his goals. Very nice finish. We're going to get to the fourth goal, which was just hilarious to watch in every respect of the matter. Not hilarious for Cincinnati fans, but hilarious for us. We'll get to that one in a minute and my thoughts on that. But I wanted to watch Edison Flores. I want to say, okay, how did he look? I guess he gets sort of an assist in this game. I thought his first half, I'd heard Matt Doyle say he looked really good, and I saw the first half, like he's okay. His biggest problem, so he is really good when it's a 1-2 type of quick play or quick pass or something like that. He is getting really good at that. I mean, when it's a one-time pass, he's able to identify that and move. His positioning is looking a little better. His biggest drawback right now, and maybe this just isn't a skill that he has, is an ability to dribble. He does not have sort of an ability to beat players on the dribble. I can think of one moment when he kind of navigated sort of a tight space. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the team doesn't need that. I thought he was good. I think he's continuing to have an impact. Both of those goals, the first area goal and the second one, started from quick movements and quick passes that he had on the game. So I think that's something positive. He still is finding ways to be a part of this team. If he was a TAM level player, we might be speaking in a different tone, maybe. But he is a DP and he is this team's highest paid player. So I think he'll be one I'll be watching. I think he did play close to a full 90. I think he did play a full 90 for this game.
Full 90.
So I'm not sure if we'll see him rested maybe for this Minnesota game, or we'll see him out there. Be very curious to see how Losada handles that.
Great header by Steve, by the way, for the second goal. When we get to that, that was
another great ball from Gressel, right over the top.
The whole hope is that Donovan Pines becomes the aerial threat that Birnbaum used to be on headers, sort of the threat around goal, and that was sort of a little trip back memory lane where Steve had a couple of those per year back in the olden days. So great to see him do that. He had a fantastic game Foot Mob has him as almost man of the match, 8.6. So that bears out. He Cincinnati, obviously, the last 15 minutes they scored 2 goals, 10 minutes, but they were pretty well neutered. For the first 75 minutes of the game, and we'll talk about what the result of that was after the game. But
yeah, there was one big save. There was one big save I think Bill Hamid had. I think it was 2-0. This again shows what Bill Hamid can do for you. That game's 2-0. That ball goes in the net. It's 2-1. Maybe you give Cincinnati some life. Maybe this result doesn't
just like
go
last
the way
week,
it goes.
right? That same thing for the last game too.
Yep, he makes the save, keeps it 2-0, and then DC scores. I think at least 5-10 minutes afterwards. A kind of a nicely worked attack. Gressel gets the ball, chips it over, hits off the head of Flores, and it finds Areola, who buries it home. I think we're going to see. We'll see. I'll be curious to see when the national team comes out, because I think Areola is starting to find his stride.
Mm-hmm.
He's found his finishing boots. And I think those were 2 big goals for him. He's got, obviously a Wednesday game. He was subbed out, I think, at halftime or pretty close to halftime.
Him and Nahar and Knaus.
Yeah,
you love if you're there. Granted, you want to see more goals, but like you feel the confidence when triple halftime stuff. You're like, all right, cool.
And you know what the crazy thing was?
Got this.
I thought they looked better offensively in the second, like the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the second half. They were they looked more. The goals were nice, but I think 2 goals off set plays. So you bury those set play chances, which are good. 1 really only from the run of play. I thought they generated a couple of chances, but they forced the second half. I thought they forced the Cincinnati goalkeeper into more saves. I thought they looked really good in that. I thought Reyna brings a certain level of energy that is very noticeable when it's missing in this game. Not that Areola wasn't great, not that Flores, and I thought actually Flores looked a lot better in that second half. It was very interesting to me how much better I thought he played in the second half, how much livelier he looked, how much he was connecting passes, moving the ball. I thought he was actually really, really good in that for most of that second half before he got subbed out. And Reyna, I thought was, again, I think he should have at least had a goal. I believe there was one chance where I think Paredes had a ball right in front of the goal, and I know Reyna hit the post.
Yep.
So that was really good.
Felipe also was a very good player for the second half. He was 94% pass completion, highest of anybody on the team. So that was just to your point about how the team looked really dominant. I think that it's easier. And, we'll talk about what happened to the coach after the fact. But a team that is down 3-0 at halftime on the road in a lost season is going to be sort of roadkill in that second half unless they've got a really inspiring coach and a locker room that hasn't quit. This team didn't have either of those things. So I think some fresh legs and the players that did come on obviously had good performances. But you're right. The start of the second half, they were continuing to have their way with them. And it was, barring the last couple of minutes, that's a complete A+ performance.
Yeah. What do we think about I'm curious what we think about the center of midfield. I don't know. I feel like earlier in the year when things were kind of dire up top, we talked a lot about a player like Knaus or a player like Moreno really being those sort of rocks in the center of the field. I keep wondering because I look at Knaus and I still see the energy. There's nothing that goes through that center of the field really for Cincinnati. It was all like out on the wings when DC was pushed up, and in reality, and you also look at a player like Nahar pushing up the center gets a lot more of the highlights now than a player like Knaus. But I really do think that Knaus and Moreno are very much, and Moreno still has some really nice, passes to sort of break pressure and break the lines. I really think this is a game. I've seen some people kind of dog a little bit on Knaus. I still think his energy and what he brings as far as the press and sort of collapsing that center of the field and really being a pest to deal with is really important. And I'm not sure if Felipe was a little bit younger, maybe I would be saying maybe Felipe deserves a start. But I think having that ability to have Felipe come off in the second half and really continue to kind of lock things down was very important.
And spell in these last 2 months of really condensed games, I think that there's a chance you're going to see him. I think you're going to see Moses at some point too. I think he's had a long run on the sidelines here, and I think that one of these midweek games here, maybe on Wednesday against a Minnesota team, maybe that's when you see him. Who knows?
And Angus is bringing up a good point. Russell's the defensive midfielder. Moreno's the guy who actually pushes forward. Because Nahar pushes up, someone has to push back because he's the center back. He's the center back in this team. So I think the 3-0 result was, I'm sure Losada was thrilled with that because he's like, okay, now I can rest guys. I can take guys off. I can preserve a player like Nahar, who I'm trying to watch minutes. Preserve Russell Canals, who's going to be that engine in kind of the middle of the field. I can preserve Areola, who's looking at, a national team break. Having to go play national team games. And I think that was really good. Let's talk about the weird fourth goal for DC. So the ball goes over the top, and actually you watch. You probably, I don't know if you've seen the broadcast.
I was just the far.
You were at the game. You were at the game. So basically on the broadcast, the ball goes over the top, and Robertha and Devin McTavish in the stand goes, "Oh, he's onside." Moves forward. The referee raises his flag. There's no whistle. No whistle at all on the field is heard. So Cincinnati probably rightly thinks it's offside. So they kind of let up. And then Roberto just kind of moves it. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and score because the referee hasn't blown his whistle. He scores. They call offside. It gets reviewed. And because the center referee never blows the whistle, it's a goal. And it's reviewable and a goal. Now the referees are told to hold their flag. It was so plainly, watching the replay, so painfully obvious he was onside. Devin McTavish, I think, was maybe trying to be nice. He's like, "Oh, it's closed." I was like, "That's onside. Are you kidding me? That is absolutely onside." He is like at least half a step in front. The defender is leaning back, and his back leg is basically keeping him on. So I mean, good on Roberta to, he could have just played the ball out of bounds and I'm offside. But he said, "I'm just going to go and have a goal. Go at it." He scores and review happens and it's a goal. So bad on FC Cincinnati I think fans were like mad at FC Cincinnati. They were also mad at the referees, but also you play to the whistle. That's the rules. And everybody seemed very much done with that game. So yeah, weird goal. Yes. Let's talk about maybe some of the bad things. So I thought DC dominated the chances. I have to go back and look at the expected goal, but I saw the expected goals was like, I think there was like one expected goal for FC Cincinnati. First goal kind of comes off a free kick, I believe, and kind of a scrum in the box. I think Donovan Pines kind of loses his man. Donovan Pines again. I'm so frustrated because early in the season, I thought he had really kind of just locked himself down. He was not making the same types of mistakes. And in this game, we saw a couple chances. I think he hit a shot that was deflected, did a really good job covering and making a really nice tackle. So you see all these physical attributes that he has and this ability, the mental side of the game. I think that needs to be Losada's project to get him to develop mentally. The physical attributes are all there. It sort of reminds me of Facundo Urban in that, he was a very good defender. He would do things that very physically, but he was always, had that one error. And he had a couple errors in this game. He recovered on a lot of them. But I think some of them were pretty bad. And I think he kind of loses his mark on that one. I don't know if he gets the entire blame. It was very much kind of a defensive breakdown in that regard. Second goal was kind of a mistouch. And at that point, you just play the ball out. You surrender a corner, forget it. He kind of loses it. I forget who recovers it. And then they play it to Acosta, who scores a goal. So it's 4-2, maybe getting a little nervous. I think Bill maybe has a couple nice saves towards the end of that game. I think one of them they credit on the, I think Stephen Goff talked about it. I believe they actually called the player offside on the last save he had. So I don't know if that would have counted. But again, with VAR, who knows? Who knows what happens there? What did you think of the goals? How hard do you want to be on Donovan Pines here?
I don't want to be too hard on him. I think that's sort of my brand generally all the time. So I think, Brian already said it in the chat. You got to play to the whistle here. You got to finish the game out strong.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stress too much about it. It's one of those moments where a lapse in concentration hurts you. Luckily, you have a padding of 4 goals, or at that time 3 goals, or at that time I guess 2 goals. But one of those opportunity to learn. It looked like Losada had his arm around him on the field after the game to sort of drill that in, which is good.
And the real thing I get about it is he does so many things well. He does so many. He does like 5 or 6 things either on the recovery, a tackle, a block. He's out there making defensive plays. He was a part of that defensive game plan that absolutely shut down Lucho Acosta for most of that game. Really did not have many looks at the ball. He just a little bit of more sharpness and a little bit more of a mental side. I think he's made absolutely incredibly great strides over this season. And I think he has showing that he physically he has the ability to do the job. It's the mental side that needs to come, and I think it'll come. I'm not sure if he'll get multi-million-dollar transfer fees, but I'll be very excited to watch him next year and he's basically I think even with his mistakes, I don't think you see him replace Fred Brilliant out on. I don't think Fred Brilliant comes on and replaces him. I think he has done enough well that and just how he commits to the press. He's also pushing forward too. You see him push forward a couple times, and he's become very, very good at a long ball over the top, winning the ball, getting a head down, finding a DC player, and restarting an attack. You'll watch that a couple times. He's become very good at that sort of stepping up and making that defensive play. So again, he does so many things well. He's growing as a player. Losada, I think, has done a lot to trust him. I want to see more Donovan Pines. I'm a big Donovan Pines supporter here.
It looks like I'm frozen on the broadcast, but I hope you can still hear me. So you just get me staring off sort of broodingly off into the distance. But yeah, overall, I think that really matters now. What does Wednesday look like? Right, you got Minnesota United coming to town. I'm still gazing off. You got Hernan wants everybody to fill the stadium. We had a really crowded house at Audi Field on the weekend. Great weather, that helps. But it would be really. I'll be there this Wednesday. Hopefully, a lot of our listeners can make it out as well.
Yep.
It's going to be an important game. I think they should win this game. I wish that Abila could recover from injury in time to get his revenge game opportunity. I don't know that he will, but I'd like to just see that from a rotation perspective as well. Very interesting to watch what's going to happen with selection. You know, Ted, you made a point of that. 3 players coming off at 45, particularly, Ola coming off at 65, making sure that you didn't push him too far. Nigel scoring a goal, maybe that juices him up a little bit. Now that he's finally made available. This was his first game where he was in the 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So great for him to get in and score a goal. He's been pretty I want to say prolific, but he's I don't know what his per 90 is. If someone's look at that, like when he plays, he kind of seems to score. He just doesn't play very often.
Yeah, and I mean this goal was a little bit interesting, but you bring up a point sort of about these next 2 games. So I perused the national and they're starting to talk about a lot on Extra Time Radio who's player of the year. They talk about Kamara. I'm willing to walk that one back, and then they talk about Hernan Losada, and they're like, it's like, well, he's 8th place in the league. You don't get coach of the year to a team that's 8th place, and I'm like, so 8th place implies that the top, let's say the top 3, you are like top 3 or 4, you're like 10 points back of them. You're like fighting for that playoff spot. Have you seen how tight the whole Eastern Conference is? About how there's 3 points from 3rd to 8th. Is DC really, really like that much worse than Ronnie Dyla up at New York City FC? Is it really? I mean, they've been neck and neck with Philly and Orlando. It's been incredibly tight, and I get a little bit upset. It's like it's trying to discount what Hernan's done, and the fact that he had very little say in the players that he was given. Almost no say. Maybe Robertha or Heinz Eich might be the only players, and he's been without Heinz Eich for most of the season. He's been without Robertha for most of the season. He's doing this with guys that he literally had no idea maybe even existed before he took the job. Like, let's be serious. Like, maybe he probably heard of Andy Nahar. But that would probably it. So it's incredible what he's been able to do to turn this team into a playoff team, to get them to believe. As far as tiebreakers go, I do want to mention DC is kind of a beneficiary here. Their sort of erratic style. Now, again, maybe if they turn some of those losses, like if they turn let's say 5 of their losses into ties, that's 5 points. That would put them safely 3 points clear into 3rd, maybe even competing with Nashville for 2nd. But when you compare it to the rest of the teams that have struggled, they actually have the upper hand. They have the second most. They're tied for the second most wins. Only New England, Nashville, and New York City have more wins than them. So yes, they're dropping some games, maybe dropping some ties and some points, but they're picking up wins. And the tiebreaker in MLS is wins. So that's going to be something to watch as we get closer to sort of the end of the season. That might end up becoming a beneficiary. If they end up tied on points with teams like Philadelphia, Orlando, Montreal, and they have more wins, you could see them leap over them, and we could have a home playoff game. I think it's crazy. I kind of had reserved myself against a home playoff game, and now I'm kind of back on board of that certainly being a possibility. Considering their upcoming schedule too, they're gonna a Minnesota team that has been okay. That's a road game. That's a game they're probably a midweek game. They're probably going to maybe resting some guys. And then you're going to have Orlando, who, by the way, guess who they get on Wednesday? A road game against New England. And they just dropped a 2-1 game to Nashville. Oh, sorry, they played New England last week. 2-1 to Nashville. 2-1 to New England. Now they play Nashville. So they get the two top teams in the conference, probably the two best teams in the league to start off. And then they play DC. So, I mean, you're looking at a team basically now, Orlando, which has really been an underrated story, potentially looking at 5 straight losses by the time they play DC. So, certainly not. Okay, who do we got on the phone? Angus. We got Angus on the phone. I totally missed that. Angus, sorry. Thanks for waiting, buddy.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Can you hear me? Is everything all good?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Ted, to quickly add on to your note there, this is an Orlando team that they only beat an injury-riddled DC United 1-0 the last time they played us, which was at home, albeit, and our home record versus our away record is not great, but something to consider regardless going into this upcoming weekend. Was able to attend both Washington soccer games this weekend, and I'd like to, in defense of Donovan Pines, as I like to do so much on this show now, I'd like to point out that he was moved to the right-hand side of the 3-back in the second half to cover the pacey left-hand side of FCC. And once Gressel exited, that's when we saw those 2 goals come in. So you kind of saw Donovan get put on an island, having to cover between Fred Briant's lack of speed in the middle of the defense and Griffin Yao's lack of defense on the wing. And that's nothing against Griffin Yao. He's not a right wing back. He's being forced to play that position because Chris Adoy-Achem is out injured still. Hopefully he comes back soon and healthy as well. So some notes on that kind of side of things. My favorite part of the game, though, was in the first half. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Lucho originally starts off going one-on-one with Andy Nahar, realizes he's not going to get anything off of Andy Nahar, then switches to Donovan Pines, only for him not to get anything off of him on the left-hand side of the field either. And then also Donovan Pines dribbles the socks out of Lucho in the second half. I don't know if that came through on the broadcast, but I had a great angle of it in the supporters section.
Yeah, Donovan Pines has a lot of skills, and I think there's just some mental things that he needs to get over, and I believe he can get over those and be a really solid piece in this DC United lineup. We've been waiting for him to sort of step up and sort of replace Brilliant in that center of the field. And honestly, even with the mistakes, I think he's done it. I don't think this team is as effective when Brilliant's out there versus him.
And luckily, we'll have Alfaro back available as well, because obviously he was sitting out for yellow card accumulation.
Yeah.
Another quick note on the roster before I jump to my experience, the Spirit game. On FootMob, the ratings, right? The only players below a 7 were Russell Knaus and Ola Kamara. Obviously, we talked at length about why Russell's rating probably isn't where it should be because he's doing a lot of things that probably don't come out on the stat sheet. But Ola having a subpar performance to what we've expected out of him this year. Is that Jeff Cameron just kind of sticking to him and all of the big-bodied FCC center backs just kind of sticking to Ola Kamara, and then a slightly taller Nigel Roberta and a much more tired FCC backline isn't able to cope with the pace of Reyna and Roberta coming off the bench. I don't know, but food for thought and something to look forward at the midweek games and stuff, and in terms of storylines and things on that note.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up an interesting point. But I mean, I think that gives you an ability. When a player is being marked, it gives other players opportunities to score, and we saw
Like
Areola take advantage of that.
Back post run, scoring goals.
Yep,
I think you're right.
Exactly what Areola was able to make those goals. It's those intangible. They don't really come through on the stat sheet, but still, we're expecting Ola to score or miss anywhere upwards of 5 chances a game, right?
Yeah.
So, food for thought.
We'll see how he does in the midweek. I think we'll see some more. Talk about the Spirit game.
Yes. I was at the Spirit game. I arrived pretty much right before kickoff. I carpooled with a couple of the people who didn't want to drive out to Segra because they lived in the district and stuff. So that was pretty cool. I did find it a little interesting, and I'm assuming this was planned before the Spirit missed two straight games, one being at home, one being away. But I did find it interesting that the game where the Spirit squadron had announced that they would be starting their protest, the Spirit handed out thundersticks to everyone in attendance, or at least the first 2,000 fans to enter the gate. I don't know if that's a little.
I saw it on TV, Angus. I was curious about that as well.
I have a set still in package if anybody wants it. We'll give it away to chat at some point. I don't know.
There you go.
But it was a fun. It's weird. Segra plays different than Audi. I mentioned this before, and no wonder the Spirit haven't been able to win a game at Segra, and it took facing a, albeit now re-injuvenated Kansas City side with all the trades they've been making recently, but up until that point, a very kind of sluggish and last place, I believe, Kansas City side. But yeah, it was interesting. Also, fun fact, I almost got out of there with a match ball because a ball went over the supporter section into the woods, and I went and grabbed it, and security clocked me as I was about 20 to 30 yards from my. I was very, very. Those things are rocks. No wonder people get concussions from heading those kind of balls. They are hard as nails. Yep. They are pumped up. No wonder they go flying.
Yep. And don't get hit in the head with one from a kick from Kaká or Kaku. It's Kaku. I don't know what to say. Kaká.
Yeah. Or the throw-in from the New England defender.
Yep. All right, Angus. Thanks so much for calling in, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
If you ever see Angus in a tailgate, he has all of my stickers. So go see Angus. You can get them from him.
Just so everybody knows, I think I've teased this on Twitter. I will be in Orlando. Actually, I will be traveling to a road game. I'll be watching that game. Thanks to the Screaming Eagles for supplying those tickets. I'm still waiting to hear back and get my ticket, but they were supplied them to me, so that's great. But that should be fun. So if you're making the trip down, feel free to say hi. Say hi. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Do we want to talk? We want to touch a little bit on the training facility that is apparently going to be finished,
and then let's wrap it up.
Yep. So basically, I think golf has sort of confirmed that it's going to be open. This has been a thing that was probably supposed to be ready sometime middle of last year, I think was the original goal. Obviously, COVID happened. There were delays. I think the team, the reason the team now is very excited to get a bunch of owners in, they just officially announced Yogata along with some other more prolific owners, is to raise capital to help pay for some of those facilities and also try to get it done. It's incredibly important for this team. This is something that is very underrated. The stadium is nice. It's great to have your own stadium, your own facility, a place you can call home. As much as we miss RFK, financially, that's great for the club. But it gives them a staple inside DC. Training facilities are probably one of the most underrated things, in my opinion. When a player comes, where's a player going to spend most of their time under contract with DC? At the training facility. Mm-hmm. If your training facility is non-existent, it's bad, and it can affect who you can sign. It can affect how happy players are. It can affect a lot of things. So it's very good that the team finally has that facility. They've needed it for a long time. Is it the flashiest thing in the world? Nope. It looks like a field house. We've seen New England, LA, Atlanta, all come out with, very flashy looking training grounds. This is not it. This is not going to get on the front page of MLS Soccer. You're not going to see this splashed everywhere.
No. It looks like where your kid goes and plays gymnastics on the weekend or whatever.
It is. But, if it has decent facilities, if the players are comfortable being there, if the players like it, if the amenities inside are good, I'm really hoping if DC wants some content when that thing opens, give us a tour.
Yep.
Show off some of those things. Even if it's not great, at least show us that there's some good things in there. And at least having the facilities good. John, you've maybe been a little bit more critical about this, but
no, I think you make a good point. Like it's what's inside that matters. This is not a team. I think it's a perfect analog for the team. I think we're not competing with Atlanta. Like that's not where we sit. And the Revs have been playing in Foxborough for their entire existence. Don't have a stadium of their own. So that's where they put some of their capital. They put it into a nice, fancy facility, not in Boston, but around it in the general New England area. Would it be nicer to look nice? Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to be a step up from RFK and all of the things that they're playing in now. It is far away. That is, there's no denying that. That will be annoying to some teams. That will be annoying to some players that come here and realize that that's going to be their life. But it's a net positive. It was never going to really blow anyone away. I'm glad they're finally finishing it and they can get in there and see what it's actually going to be like. Would it have been nice if we had Arthur Blank money and could build what looks like a D1 college facility? Yeah, that'd be nice, but we don't. So let's just move on from that and live in the real world that we live in.
And let's be clear, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of land out there. There is absolutely no reason why this team gets a flashy owner down the road. Something happens, the team, brings on a new majority owner that's willing to splash the cash that they could renovate or modernize or sink money into expanding that training facility. I don't think this will be that. It will not look like this.
It's modular.
Yeah,
that's the good part about this. They could just take a sawzall on one of the side of the things and just add some more
and build some more. I do hope the grass fields are great as far as training fields. Is a little juxtaposed to the idea that your training fields are grass and nicer than Segra.
They'll never play there. So the only person that affects is Loudon.
Yeah, Loudon and the Spirit maybe, but we'll see. And the DC women's team comes aboard.
They'll just roll some turf and just push it right on top of just tamp it down.
Well, but I do think I hope beyond hope. Golf is very negative on this idea. I hope beyond hope that they get to a certain point. Maybe they get some more investors in, and they're like, you know what? Let's build Let's get a grass field on Segra. Let's rip up that turf, get a grass field. We'll see.
Let's put a press box somewhere in the facility.
let's build that stadium out.
Yeah.
Let's build that stadium out. I do honestly. Some part of me does think like 20, 30 years down the road, if like they outgrow Audi Field, that they maybe look to like Loudon as a spot to like plop a super 30,000-40,000 seat stadium. I don't know. That's pie in the sky type stuff. It would take a lot to leave Audi Field, but
that would be amazing. If we'll be old and the podcast will be in the year 47 or 43, maybe that will be happening.
Well, we won't be doing podcasts at 8:30. We'll have to do them at like 6:30 because it'll be too tight.
The Denny's special. We'll do 5:00 start time.
All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for today. Like I said, John will be at the game on Wednesday. I'll be traveling to Orlando, so we're going to have full-on like their
correspondence.
Coverage. Maybe I'll take over Instagram. Let me say Instagram, Twitter. Like, do you want us to get like a TikTok? Like, where do you want to see me cover my trip to Orlando? I will be happy to do that for you guys, to give you guys some insight into there. I'll step up my game in that regard.
And you can have your dad hand the phone. You can hand the phone to your dad as all the Orlando fans just like surround you and pour beer in your head.
We'll see. We'll see. Apparently, one of our Rich says Orlando's fine and Orlando's good. But hey, if you're an Orlando fan, listen to the show. I'm always down to meet cordially, of cordially, please.
Yeah, I'm about to say, always down to meet's got sort of like a meet me in Temecula vibe. If you remember that old meme.
I will have a friend there. The best man for my wedding, who actually just followed the show, is going to be down there. He lives there, so he's going to be heading out to the game too. So should be lots of fun, guys. That's going to do it for us. Subscribe on Twitch. Gregory's out there gifting subscriptions. We love it. He shows us the love. But guys, if you have your Amazon Prime, most people do. A lot of people do. Go ahead and drop that subscription for Amazon Prime. And also, we still have our Patreon. Patreon.com/RFK Refugees. So definitely drop that in the Patreon if you don't want to do it on Twitch, however you want to do it. We love the support you guys give us. It's been awesome.
Or just come say hi to me at the Screaming Eagles tailgate, and instead of making me go from the deck into the bar to get another beer, just bring me one.
Just bring me one.
Just assume I need another one, and then we're good.
Bring John Stadium beers. That's what you do.
Yeah, that works.
That's what you do. All right, folks. Thanks again so much for listening. We will catch you guys. I don't know if we're going to do a podcast Monday post. Oh, you'll be at the game, so probably not. We'll see you guys on Monday. Vamos.
Yep. Vamos.